Hi, I'm Dave, and today I'm going to talk about the Allen Heath Xone DB4. This is the Allen Heath Xone DB4. This is not just a mixer, I'm so glad I bought this because this mixer is very unique. So a while ago I decided I wanted a live setup without a laptop. And there's a lot of things you're going to miss, like a lot of effects, routings. There's a lot of possibilities you throw out of the window when you're going laptopless. So, did I say laptopless? I did. So I have two Digitects, and I want to incorporate certain aspects of DJing into my live setup. First of all, I'm going to touch on the specifications, not too much because there are a lot of videos already online that are going through all the specifications in detail. What I want to do is I want to show you what you can do with it in a live setup. So first of all, let's go through the specs real quick. At the top you have an input matrix, and this is pretty unique to this mixer as far as I know. It lets me plug in different instruments and switch through them on the fly per channel. So now I have this Digitect plugged into channel 2, and so all I need to do is select the input I want to send to this channel, for instance. So if I choose 1, you'll see that now my voice is going to input 3 to channel 3. So and I can show you that I use it for FX. These two channels I use for FX. And live I can switch on the fly between the inputs. So if I have two Digitects, I can switch these FX channels to the Digitect I want at that moment, or both, like a reverb on the one Digitect and a delay on the other, or vice versa. So now I have the effects on my voice, and as you can see, I can change the effects on the fly, create loops or whatever I want. That is the input matrix, and yeah, it's one of the reasons I bought this mixer, really, because it lets me choose on the fly which input I want to on which channel. So as you can see, I have my microphone plugged in, and I can send this to channel 1 as well. Well, actually I can send it to input 1 instead of the input 1. You can send it to your Q channel as well. You can shape the high frequencies and low frequencies as well. You can also plug in an extra line input. So if you have 5 instruments, you can play with that. So another thing, this is actually a really good audio interface as well. So for studio use, this is really a cool mixer as well, because it lets you plug in a lot of inputs and route 8 channels, 4 stereo channels to your DAW. And I actually sold my previous audio interface because this was just so much better. The latency is really, really low. There's a lot of routing options. I'll get into those later. So let's move on, because there's so much to tell about this mixer that I'm already drowning in how to explain it all. So that's the input matrix, and let's move on to the equalizer section, which is really interesting too. So the equalizer setting lets me switch between isolator, equalizer and filter. And I use the filter most of the time, like pretty much always, because the cool thing about the filter is because I use these two channels as FX channels, I can set up these filters pre-FX and post-FX. And that lets me shape how the effects are working with the sound I put through it. So I can actually roll off the highs of a sound before it goes into the reverb, which is one thing I really love to do. And the same thing goes for the delay, for instance, and I'll show you. I can roll off some highs while I'm talking, you know, and this is one thing for live use you can do a lot of cool things with this. For the reverb it's the other way around, actually. as you can hear, I roll off my voice before it comes to the mixer, and that's why I can do things like this. So I can let through some highs every now and then, and the reverb will respond to it. So there's a lot of sound shaping options, as you can see. What I really like about the equalizer section as well is you can switch on the fly between equalizer, isolator and filter, and well, you can see the lights change depending on the mode I'm in. One thing to remember is when I switch to the equalizer, yeah, the dials are not in the middle, so that's gonna alter your sound. But hey, you can't have everything, right? It's already so diverse and so tweakable. I mean, wow, really cool. This is amazing, and I really like the filters on here. It has a low pass filter, a high pass filter, and this is the resonance for both. So as you can see, when I'm talking, I can actually boost some frequencies, as you can hear. And yeah, well, see, it is really subtle. It's not self-oscillating, but for a mixer, I think that's fine, because this really is just for sound shaping, so that's completely fine. So that's the equalizer section. Let's go to the next section, the loopers. We have 4 loopers, a looper per channel, which is really interesting. So one downside is the Xone DB4 doesn't have any MIDI inputs, outputs, or through ports. So yeah, that's an omission, I think. I mean, it's such a complete digital mixer. MIDI should have been a part of it. So yeah, it is what it is. So the BPM detection on this thing is really good, especially for 4th on the floor beats. It does have a couple of problems. When I play an offbeat groove, it will detect the BPM, but not the exact BPM, but like 1.5 or half, but it will detect a certain rhythm in the music. So it always kind of fits. Like if I play a record at 132 BPM, it will sometimes detect like 176 or something, but it actually is kind of in time. But the thing is, you can actually tell it to track another rhythm in the beat by tapping the tempo. So then it will snap to the correct tempo and keep tracking it. So because it is unsyncable to MIDI, yeah, I have to use the nudge keys on the Digitakt to sync it on the fly. So when I let's start a beat, and now when let's make a loop of this, like okay, there we go. Now I have a loop, and I'm gonna put this effects off and change the input matrix to channel 2. So now you can hear I'm gonna turn the bass down from this one. Well, as you can hear, it actually detects really well. I can show you. It's 132 almost. Actually, well, there you go. If it's a really simple beat like this, it will loop perfectly. But if you notice, hey, it's it's not in sync anymore, simply nudge the Digitakt to line up again. Well, yeah, the cool thing about this is I really like to do stuff like this. I have this beat going. Put it on 1/1, for instance, and now I kind of have a new groove going. I can use the looper to create a new loop and use that as a new kind of ingredient for a track, or whatever you want. So this is what I really love about this thing. Okay, before I completely lose it and get into the flow, it's just so much fun. You see, in a couple of seconds I just created a completely new kind of track. This is why I love this mixer, because it's just so hands-on, and if you really play with the effects and the filters and the loopers, you can create so many new things on the fly, and that's what I like to do live. I kind of like to improvise as much as I can. So yeah, I think this is a really amazing part of the mixer. The loopers let me create new grooves on the fly, because yeah, taking a one beat loop of another groove sort of sometimes creates a whole new groove. It's just like that. Okay, so let's move on. And I only have, well, not even half of the mixer covered now. So let's move on to the FX section, which is, well, one of the biggest selling points of this mixer, actually, because when you have a Pioneer mixer, and I mean, those mixers are really, really good. I think they're really expensive, but they are really good in what they do, and the effects on them are like instant gratification effects. So they are really good for like yeah, sudden breaks and heavy effects filled climaxes and everything. So this mixer has not only way more FX, it has an effects section per channel. So keep in mind, I can route one channel to multiple channels via the input matrix, and then apply multiple different effects on that input if I want. Now, the effects on this machine are studio grade. They are really, really good. And well, I can show you. I can let you hear some things. One reverb I really like is the Hall 480. Well, let's get it in there. I use it a lot because it's pretty long. It's like 10 seconds or something. It's one of the longest reverbs on this thing. And it also has a certain ring to it, which on synthesizer sounds is really amazing, and on beats as well. As you can hear, it's really... Now what I like to do is turn down, cut some of the high frequencies on the input, because then you get stuff like this, like a darker reverb. And if I add some resonance to it, I can really... Well, there you go. I mean, that is a lot of reverb, and I use this for breaks or for, yeah, like if I have a beat going, I can show you. If I do this, use the filter to create kind of a small break, and okay, kind of use a small break, and I can, and see if now, because I have a kick in there, you hear the reverb has a lot of highs. So this is where the filter comes in handy, because if I roll off the highs a little bit, it will be a bit more focused on the synthesizer sound instead of... See? There we go. So if you were wondering why I use the crossfader for this, well, I route channel 1 and 2 to crossfader part X and channel 3 and 4 to the part Y, and that way I can instantly get some effects in. I can tweak the effects on the fly, like I want them like this, and then fade them in really quickly with the fader. And this lets me, like I did just now, when a beat is going, add some reverb to the synthesizer line to give it some more depth and more interesting dynamics. I can also do this with the delay, of course. Let's see. As you can see, it's a little bit fast right now, but it's on scatter. Let's change that to... I really like the thin EQ. Let me... I mean, see how many things you can do to route certain effects to the fader and play with it. This trick I really use to make things really funky. I've got a couple of like really funky grooves, and by adding the delay I can make them even more funky. So I really like this. So I only use these two channels as effects right now. I mean, I still have the effects on the channels themselves. And you see these buttons here, they let me turn off and on the effects on the fly. Then there's the faders for the effects channels as I set them up. There's also a lot of setup to do, like a lot of different delays. But if I press menu on the selection of effects, I get into the effects setup. And here you can choose if you want the effects unit to be pre-fader or post-fader, the equalizer to be post-effects or pre-effects, the on-switch to be post-effects or pre-effects, and the effects mode. Well, what does this all mean? Well, having the effects unit pre-fade means when I turn down the fader, the effects, and let me show you on my voice. I'll show you on my voice. Here I have a delay. This channel is set up as pre-fade, so when I turn it down, the delay stops. So when I put this on post-fade, you could already hear it. There we go. I'll turn up the feedback a little bit. See, when I turn down the fader now, the delay keeps going. For the delay, I really like to have it on pre-fade, but for the reverb, it's actually really cool to have it on post-fade, because when I'm talking, see, the reverb keeps going, and yeah, for kind of breaks or coming out of a break, this is really nice. So I have a beat going, and I can actually. It also works for the fader for the crossfader, so. And then there's the equalizer section. You can put it on pre-effects or post-effects. Well, I explained a little bit already. For the reverb, I like to use pre-effects because I like to shape the sound before it reaches the reverb. And for the delay, it's the other way around. I like to shape, but it's personal preferences. I like to shape the delay after the delay. So then there's the on switch, which kind of works like the fader. In that post effects means when I turn off the button, now let me show you. When I turn off the button, it's completely gone immediately. When I put it on pre-effects, it keeps going. So then there's the FX mode, and well, there's 3 options: classic, sand, and hybrid. I always have them on hybrid because it's just the best of both worlds, and well, you can put them on sand, and this means when I add the let's make it a reverb. When I add the reverb, my original voice will just well, it will blend the reverb with the original input. When I put it on classic though, it will be a dry wet. So when I turn up the wet level high enough, my original input will slowly fade. There you go. And hybrid is best of both worlds. It will be a send effect to 3/4 of the dial, and or 2/3 or something, and the last 1/3 will be dry wet. The last 1/3 will be a dry wet effect. So there's so many things you can tweak about this mixer. It's kind of overwhelming at first, but if you really dive into it, and you can really make it your own. And that's the really cool part about this mixer, I think. So I'm gonna show you one more thing, because I really like the thin cue. I should put it on this this channel. The thin cue for me is a way to add more rhythms, to new rhythms to a track. So if I have this going, it's fairly standard, and let me fade in this. See, I can just, it adds like hi-hats this way. But I can also, with this I control the frequency at which it will delay. And can also put it on the synthesizer this way. And turn up the feedback. I mean, I can play and go on with this forever because it's just so much fun. It's such a great machine. I mean, you can use this as a studio mixer, as a audio interface, as a FX unit, and the effects on it are really, really good. I've covered a lot about this mixer, and the most important thing I want to let you hear how you can incorporate it to create new kind of things with this mixer. In my Digitect, I produce grooves, and those grooves are just really loopy. There's not much to them. With this mixer, and in combination with the Digitect, of course, as well, like Control All and the different function, I can create arrangements. And that's what I do live. So, and it's really nice to have that much control, and it really feels like an instrument in that way. If you have it, just make sure you go through all the settings, because there's just a lot of things you can do. I don't know. There's just too much to explain on this mixer. This mixer is still, I think, the best mixer best DJ mixer in the world, because there's nothing that comes close to it in terms of tweakability and customization. I'm a really big fan of this mixer, as you can tell, and well, as always, if you enjoyed this video or found it useful, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. And well, see ya!